Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Crypto Tips. This guy's name is
Toby.
And my name is
Heidi.
And
all right, this is episode 48 for the AMA questions that our Patreon members send us. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. If you want to become a Patreon member and see our trade alerts, our classes, our portfolio, everything, we've done some epic trade alerts lately.
Yeah.
Check us out below. Anyways, let's get into it.
Okay, first question today. What are your thoughts on Willy Woo's last cycle theory, and at what price range would you see Bitcoin stabilize for the next bear market if there is one? Thank you to you two. Be careful of mosquitoes. Yes.
Thank you.
So many mosquito bites.
Oh my gosh. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, Willy Woo is an OG in this space.
Yeah,
and
he's a Bitcoin analyst.
I would take what he says pretty seriously.
Follow him on Twitter. He's not perfect. I think he may have been wrong a few times.
Nobody's perfect.
No, but he's a good guy to listen to.
Very good.
Okay, so anyway, this last cycle theory is basically he's saying that there's not going to be a bear market after this bull run like we saw in 2008 when Bitcoin went from 20,000 back down to 3. And so if you look at, basically he's saying, throw everything else out of the window that you thought you knew about the trends of Bitcoin and past bull runs and bear cycles, because this is something different. And that's what we've been actually talking about for the past year, since January 2020. Long time we've been talking about this concept of a super cycle of Bitcoin. And that is when basically the market scales hugely and it changes the trends and the cycles that happen. So Willy Woo is saying basically it's not going to crash as much as it normally would. It's probably going to correct a little bit, but also he's saying it's not going to necessarily hockey stick as sharply and quickly as we saw in 2017 either. He also said, interestingly, that the Bitcoin halving events that happen every 4 years won't be affecting the price as dramatically or as guaranteed as it has in the past. We saw that even just in May 2020, it affected it pretty well.
Yeah.
But more so, the thing that's going to be determining the price of Bitcoin is supply and demand. So if that's the main factor of what's happening with the price action of Bitcoin, we all know we've been singing the praises of the supply of Bitcoin, it being the hardest asset that's ever existed.
Yeah.
If that is set in stone and demand is only going to be increasing, then we can guess what's going to happen with the price. We already knew that that's what's going to happen with the price over a long period of time. But this last cycle theory is a new concept, relatively new, especially if you haven't heard of this whole super cycle thing yet. But he's asking, what price range would you see Bitcoin stabilize for the next bear market if there is one? I don't know. Any number I'm going to say right now is completely a guess with no scientific backing behind it. I don't know, 30 probably. There was pretty solid support at 30. I think that could be it.
Maybe 30, who knows?
Yeah. You gotta always look at when did people buy
Nobody
in.
knows.
Yeah.
And you know, the more the supply dwindles,
Yeah.
and the more sovereign nations and billionaires and hedge funds and these and family offices, the more they go into Bitcoin, they're not going to sell it. Like hedge funds will a little bit, but
To take profits, to show profits.
to show profits because because they definitely need to show.
But they're not going to sell everything.
Yeah.
And they're not going to need to sell everything to see the profit that they need to.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So and they know that how difficult it is to buy. How much increasingly more difficult it is to buy Bitcoin now than it was back, a year or two ago.
Whales are dwindling.
Big time, yeah, and it's being dispersed too, so it's being more
the supply is more decentralized.
Yeah, so I agree with him on the halving event.
Playing less and less of a factor.
Yeah, for sure. Just because, it's not going to matter as much because the supply has already dwindled so much
compared to the amount of people who still will be buying Bitcoin.
This isn't a 2006 or 2018 bull run. This is not it.
Speculation.
This is totally different, guys. Like I don't. Yeah.
As people are met with the inflation of their coins.
Yeah.
As as the longer that cryptocurrency exists, the more comfortable people are with investing in it. We're seeing financial advisors first saying maybe invest 1% of your portfolio
And
into
that's
it.
gonna increase.
And now some are saying 10%.
Yeah.
And
I see that
unless you're Dave
changing.
Ramsey's, you're not saying that. But anyway.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey.
So there's this, also moving from being the early adopters to the next row over of the people who are going to move in because they're comfortable with it. It's gonna be really interesting to see not only Bitcoin, but also other cryptocurrencies that are going to benefit from this as well.
Yeah.
And man, I hope that they can fix their scaling issues in time, because there's going to be crowds of people trying to use blockchain technology.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, where I see a day fairly soon where people are just going to be talking about Satoshis,
Yeah.
which is like a fraction of a Bitcoin instead of whole Bitcoins, because, yeah, first of all, this price isn't going to stay here forever, and anything under 50
Yeah.
is a joke, absolute, utter joke.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not over 50 right now, and you know what? Take advantage of it while you can, because these times will not last forever.
Yeah.
And then once they do crack, the 50 to 100, 150, $200,000 range,
That's what actually Willy Woo, his price prediction for this year,
yeah,
for him, conservative, is $167,000 per Bitcoin by 2021. But he said the trajectory is upwards of like 200K.
Yeah, I mean, and if people think that's ridiculous, I mean, just look at what happened in under a year with Bitcoin. March
Recently.
2020, it went from 3,500 to 65,000.
And then look
pretty
what
much.
Ethereum did.
Yeah, so.
Ethereum 40x'd.
Yeah, but okay, so I heard that's another story.
So do you mind putting out a price prediction for, what the next accumulation phase will be of Bitcoin before the next breakout?
Well, I mean,
let's say that we have, it goes 200K and then it corrects. Where would it correct to? Where do you think?
I mean, it could correct to 30 or 40K, but I mean, and realistically,
70, 80?
by that time, it could just.
Yeah. He was saying
it could go to 50, 60, 70,000, but I mean, we'll see how high it goes. If traditionally Bitcoin drops about 80%.
Yeah, but we can throw all that out the window, according to Willy Woo.
I wouldn't throw it completely. That's where I kind of disagree. We'll see, because things go up higher than you could ever imagine, pretty much, and things go down further than you could ever imagine sometimes.
But that's
which
what he's
happened
saying.
to me.
He's saying that these cycles aren't going to be as volatile up or volatile down anymore. It's going to be like this. Woo, going up.
Willy woo.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll see. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
That's his opinion. I'm going to stick with my opinion. But that's one of the reasons why we're not actually selling Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Is because of this.
Yeah.
Because if we are
we
wrong,
don't know.
And we don't know. Yeah.
The short term, we don't know. We do know the long term.
Yeah.
That's why we're holding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, guys. That's all we have today for episode 48. Thank you for joining us, and please stay disobedient. Don't follow the sheep. Follow
Hit the
us
like.
instead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and subscribe and like
Ooh,
and
3D effect.
do all that.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye guys.